Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, I'm here with Alessandro Catalan, who is the product manager from MateCat, and we're going to be talking to you about MateCat, the free online cat tool. So we're going to divide today's webinar up into 5 main sections. First of all, Alessandro is going to give us an introduction to what MateCat is. Then we'll have a look at how you can use MateCat to translate your documents the fast way. After that, we'll take a look at some of the more advanced options that the tool has to offer. For example, private and public translation memories, how to split projects, revising translation jobs, just to name a few. And then we'll talk about how you can make extra money thanks to MateCat. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to have plenty of time to answer any questions that you may have. So if you do have questions, please feel free to type them into the question and answer interface at any time during the presentation, and we'll try to answer as many as we can at the end. Okay, over to you, Alessandro.
Okay, thank you, Helen, and thank you everybody for joining us. So yeah, today we're gonna describe what MateCat is and how you can use MateCat to translate your projects and to make some extra money maybe. Now, without any further delay, let's start with the presentation. Now, as you can see, you're now looking at the MateCat interface, and that's what you can find going to www.matecat.com. MateCat indeed is a web-based cat tool, so you just need a browser to access it. And it's free and doesn't even require any registration. So when you go to MateCat.com, you can start translating without any kind of barrier, let's say, any kind of obstacle to start using the tool. It's a free platform, it's online, it works very well with the Chrome browser and with the Safari on a Mac. So you can use it on any platform that you like. In fact, you can even translate using your tablets. Okay, what we're going to do today is, of course, translate a file, and we're going to do it twice. So the first time we're going to translate it, as I like to say, the fast way. So from uploading the file to downloading the translation in a matter of a few minutes. After that, we're going back, and we're going to do it all over again. By doing this, we're going to stop on some of the advanced features of MateCat and look at some things like maybe how you can add a private translation memory, how you can keep confidentiality of your files, what kind of information you can gather from MateCat, etc. So let's start. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to upload a file to translate, and we're going to show you what file we'll be working with today. It's a standard docx file. You can see it here. It's in English with some images, some formatting, nothing too fancy, but I would say something that we come across every day in the translation business. So you go to MateCat.com, you grab your file and drop it into the MateCat interface. The file gets imported and we're ready to analyze it. So let's click on Analyze. At this stage, what happens is that the file is split into segments, and those segments are matched with the private translation memory, with the public translation memory, and with machine translation. You will notice here the first difference as compared to other cat tools. That is, MateCat counts fewer words than any other cat tool. Why is that? Well, because we use a mix, as I said before, of private TMs, public TMs, and machine translation. Now, the original document contained 571 words. With MateCat, you only translate 439. With another cat tool, maybe you would get something around 543. Of course, that's more, right? But 439 is how you get the best, let's say, leverage from your resources. Okay, let's go into translation. So down here you have the analysis for the job, and let's click on Translate. Translate, and then Open. And we land on the translation editor. Now, this is where you actually do your translation with MateCat. You can see on the left hand, you have the source segments. And on the right is where you do the editing of the matches from the MT or translation memory to complete your translation. So let's look at this one. Understanding and fixing tag errors and tag issues in MateCat. In Italian, that would be maybe capire e correggere gli errori di tag e i problemi maybe con i tag in MateCat. Okay, that's it. So what happened here is that I got a suggestion from the MT, I fixed it, I'm happy now with the translation, and I just click on Translate it to confirm. Here again, another segment, I get another match. So MateCat uses tags for two reasons. MateCat utilizza i tag per due motivi. That's perfect. It comes from machine translation, but it's a very good translation. So what I'm going to do is just click on Translate. Now you get the idea. You get the suggestion, you fix it, click on Translate, and move on to the next segment. At any time during the translation, or even at the beginning, you can download a preview of your translation or the final document. So let's click on Preview on the top bar here. When you click on that, MateCat will prepare the file, the translated file, and download it for you. Let's open that, and here it is. Now, as you can see, the same formatting and layout has been preserved, and as you might notice, it's all in Italian. Why is that? Well, basically, MateCat translates everything with your translations. You remember these two were the sentences that I translated manually. And the rest is all from translation memory or machine translation. It's a preview, and it also helps as a sort of a pseudo translation to make sure that the layout and formatting is preserved. In this file, it's easy, but in some complex, maybe localization files, it's very important to go through this step and make sure that everything works as expected. So basically, this was how you upload a file to MateCat, go through the analysis, and then translate. Pretty easy, right? I don't know, it took us maybe 3-4 minutes to showcase all this, and that's really the time that it takes you to learn how to translate in MateCat. But there's much more than this. So let's go back to the first page, and let's do it again. So let's click on the MateCat logo here, and we'll end again on this page. What we're going to do now is translate the same file, but we're also going to add translation memories, so private translation memories. We're going to have a look at how you can add multiple languages and what kind of information you collect when translating with MateCat. So let's have a look at the interface here. You see that you can enter a project name, you can select a number of languages, the subject, and all that, and that MateCat supports 68 file formats. Now, if you click on that link, you can see what kind of documents you can translate with MateCat. So you can see that you go from anything from Microsoft Office here to even OpenOffice, of course, is supported, so like ODP, ODT, etc. PDF files, web files, so HTML, XHTML, and the interchange file format, so STL-XLIF if you want to translate files coming from Trados, for instance, or XLIF, which is another common file in the industry. InDesign is supported, FrameMaker, and some localization files, so like Android XML or iOS strings if you want to translate apps. Also, MateCat supports scanned files, so like PDF, JPEG, PNG, so images. If you have a picture of a sign with some text in it and you upload it to MateCat, MateCat will try to extract the text and make it translatable for you. That's how it works with images. And also with those PDF files, which also contain a lot of graphic images, okay? So let's select the languages now. MateCat allows you to translate from and into any language pair. So really, you have a list now that covers over 100 languages. You can see them here. Some of them very exotic, maybe, like Uzbek or Tatar. Some of them are quite common. Let's try translating, in this case, from English into Italian, French, let's say maybe, I don't know, my language favorite one is Spanish, really. So here it is. Let's say from English into these three languages. There it is. Let's upload again the same file as before. The file gets uploaded and then imported. And now what I want to do is also add a private translation memory. Let's say this is a confidential translation. So what I want to do is make sure that my translations are saved in a private vault. How do we do that? From this interface, you click on Settings here, and you're taken to this panel. Let's have a look at this panel because it's very, very interesting for you. Now you have different resources, active and inactive resources, and you also have this big blue button where you can add your own resource. Now the first one here is My Memory. My Memory is a collaborative translation memory which is shared with all MateCat users. What does this mean? That if you don't add any private translation memory, you will be using this collaborative one to get matches from, but also to save your translations into. Okay, it's very good for projects that are not confidential, and I would encourage you to contribute, of course, so that it works like a collaborative effort, like Wikipedia, if you may. Now, let's click on Add a Resource and see what happens. When you click on Add a Resource, a new line is added, and this weird alphanumeric string is created, this one that I'm highlighting now. When you confirm, a private resource is added. This works as a private TM and glossary. And this alphanumeric string, you can consider that as a sort of a password to access that content. Okay? As you might notice, I have more resources in the inactive resources down here. And I can add also some of them. So let's say like this. When you have private resources marked as update, the update for My Memory is disabled. That means that your translations are only saved into your private resources. Now, the private resources can, in fact, be also shared. So you can see that some of them are private, some others are shared. But shared means that you have explicitly decided to share that resource with one of your colleagues. Let's say I'm going to share this with Helen. Okay? By doing that, Helen is now the co-owner of this resource. Okay, so again, public, private, and shared. You can select some of them are going to be updated, let's say these two, and some other are going to be used in lookup mode. That's it. For any project, you can also add machine translation. So let's click on the machine translation tab up here. By default in MateCat, you're using machine translation from Google Translate. My Memory provides machine translation from Google Translate. But you can also add other engines. You can see here I have another two examples. One is Altlang and another one is Apertium. You can select those two, or you can add an empty engine. And here you have the list of all the available connectors right now. Okay, I'm pretty happy with My Memory, so I'll select that one from this project. So machine translation, translation memories. Let's close and go to the analysis. Now here again, the same thing that we did before. So the content is split into individual segments and is matched with the three sources. The public translation memory, which is always active to get matches from. The private translation memories that we added, so the resources that we want to use because it's our own resources, okay, that we created in our career, basically. And then also machine translation. And so again, you can see the difference. The document contained 1,713 words. In MateCat, you translate 1,288, much less than in the entire document. You also have the breakdown here for all the languages. You can see English into French, 418 words. English into Italian, 431. English into Spanish, 439. Now, the word count is different because, of course, I have different matches coming from the translation memories. And also, I'm using machine translation here. You can see that some of the words go into the machine translation band. So like in Italian, that's 577 words, that goes into the machine translation. Okay, let's try translating, again, the English into Italian document. So let's click on Translate, Open, and we're taken again to the translation editor that we were showing earlier. In this case, I'm getting a 100% match. You remember that previously I was translating this same document, but I didn't add any private translation memory. So in fact, I'm getting a 100% match, and it comes from MateCat. So that's the collaborative TM. It's been created today, November the 3rd, and it's a 100% match. But I also added private translation memories and glossaries to this project. You remember that we did it at the beginning. And then MateCat can find glossary matches. You can click on the glossary tab, tag errors, errori di tag. You can see in the source you have tag errors highlighted here, and the glossary automatically finds that. So the translation is okay. I'm happy with that. I just click on translated and move on. Here again, I get glossary matches, MateCat in this case, and I have translation matches. So MateCat utilizza i tag per due motivi. Let's say that is per due ragioni, just to change something there, and go on. Now here again, you get matches and you can continue just like we were doing before. But what I want to show you is what happens when you're managing segments that contain tags. Now, this is something that we just released in MateCat, and we are actually very proud of. So let's go and look for a segment that contains tag. How do I recognize it? This is one of those segments. You might have noticed that the translated button has been replaced by this guest tag button. Basically, when you come across a segment that contains tags, MateCat doesn't display those tags. It gets rid of those so that it's easier to read the text, just like here. And then there is this new button. What does that button do? Okay, let's first of all translate the sentence. MateCat wants about 4 types of issues. MateCat, let's say, ti avvisa di 4 tipi di problemi. Okay, that's a decent translation. So I'm happy with this, and I click on guest tags. There it goes. MateCat displays the tag in the source segment. You can see them here, GID, etc., and places them automatically in the target segment. So you don't have to do anything more but check that they're placed where you want them to be. So you can do it like that, or you can move, let's say D, you can move it out. And so the tag are just around the 4 tipi di problemi. There it is. And translate and move on. What happens if you forget to put the tags there, or you remove one of the tags? Well, as you can see, MateCat displays a warning, so tag mismatch in this case, so you know that there is a problem with this segment. But if you keep on ignoring that, MateCat will warn you again. Okay, so we actually have a QA feature that is very effective in finding issues such as multiple spaces, so white spaces, or missing tags, or tag inconsistencies, etc. How do we fix this? Well, it says right here, press the less than key to add tags. So in this case, I know that I missed a tag here. I press that button on the keyboard, and I select the tag that I miss. That's it. Now it's fixed. Now here, there's some garbage, so we just clean it up and go on. So this is how you translate with MateCat. But what happens when you get those crazy jobs with maybe 10,000 words to be done in 2 hours? Now, in MateCat, we try to solve just this kind of problems. So if you go back to the analysis page, which is right here, you have the option to split a job into multiple parts. So we were translating the English into Italian document, remember that. So let's say that I want to split this into multiple parts. So let's say 3 translators will work on this job. I select 3, I click on split, and here I can select how many words I want to assign to each job. Let's say that I'm fine with the automated selection here. So I click on check, and then confirm, and MateCat creates 3 separate jobs. Let's open the second one to have a look at what happens. So let's click translate and open again. And basically, we land on the same interface that we were looking at earlier on, except that we land halfway through the job. So the first part has not been assigned to us, so we cannot actually edit anything. But somebody else already translated some of these segments. And so I can see in real time the translation done by the other translators. And down here, in my part, I can continue translating. So posizionare il cursore vicino al luogo, vicino alla posizione, we may say. etc. And we accept. So basically what you're doing, you're translating in the same interface with multiple translators. Translator 1 is working up here, and you can see what it's doing. Translator 2, we are up down here, and translator 3 will be in the last part of the job down here. The three translators in this case are working in the same interface, sharing the same document, sharing the same translation memory and glossary, and can even talk to each other. So you can see this small icon here, this sort of a bubble icon. If you click on that, you can ask for help, for instance. Basically, you can talk to the other translators and even project managers and even clients that have access to the same interface. So every stakeholder that are working on this project will receive the notification, this comment, and then can talk to each other, clarify doubts, for instance. Okay. So MateCat is also a very effective collaborative platform, I would say. Let's have a look at some more functionalities in the translation editor. So I showed you how you can translate each segment and how you can add comment to each segment. You know that from here, by clicking on preview, you download the entire translation. So not just your bit, but the entire document translated. Here it is, just like we were doing before. But you can also do other things. So when you click on this drop-down menu, you can download the original file, export the next live file if you want to translate in another CAT tool, for instance, export the job TMX if you want to keep the TMX for you. And also you can add private resources even from here. So if you click on add private resources here, you will see the same panel that we were working on before, and you can add more translation memories if you want. You can also import your translation memories. So from this translation memory and terminology panel, you can import the TMX. So let's click on import TMX, select the file, and upload it. And here basically it gets uploaded to MateCat and then is already available for your translation. So it will give you matches for each segment found in your TMX file. You can do the same for glossaries, but then of course you can export the TMX and you can export the glossary. So the resources are yours. You can do whatever you want with them. You can even delete the resource. Confirm, and there it goes. You deleted that. So this is the translation memory and terminology panel. I've already shown the machine translation panel, just that when you are translating, so when you are in the translation editor, you cannot really change anything here. But you have the advanced options also available. So in the advanced options, you can find some goodies, let's say, for MateCat. One of them is dictation. So you can enable dictation in any language to actually dictate rather than type your translation. You can enable or disable the guest tag position. So that feature that automatically places the tags where they belong, basically. You can have the QA by Lexica. It's a very nice QA feature that does a lot of checks for punctuation, numerals, links, symbols, grammar, spell checking, and a lot of other stuff. And then you can see what segmentation rules have been selected. In this case, we're just using general segmentation rules. Okay. So that's it for the advanced options that you can reach from this icon up here or below the segment. And this add private resources. Okay. So what's more, when you translate with MateCat, as I said before, you can work together with other translators. But not just that, you can actually work with the translators and revisers at the same time. So let's see how we can do a revision in MateCat. To simplify things, let's go back to the volume analysis page, so this one, and merge back the three jobs that we split earlier on. So you click on merge, continue, and basically from the three jobs, you generate just one link. And you open that, and you will find the translation from the previous steps. So nothing is lost in MateCat. Every time you translate a segment, it automatically saved. Every time you add a comment, it's saved. And when you split or merge, everything is there. Okay. What I want to show you now is how you can actually do a revision in MateCat. So this job is not complete. It's just been done for 8%, but we can already launch a revision. So let's click on the revise link in the bottom bar here. Click on that, and you land on a very similar interface, except that, as you might notice, there is just one extra tab, the tab Revise. So what you do here is you make sure that the translation is correct, or you fix it. Capire e correggere gli errori di tag e i problemi con i tag in MateCat is a good translation. Let's say instead of capire, I want to use comprendere, which is a synonym in Italian. You can see here that you generate track changes for the changes that you applied, and you also have the option to select the type of issue. So I just changed capire into comprendere. It's a synonym. Let's say it's just a minor enhancement in terms of style. So I select that and then click approve. MateCat utilizza i tag per due ragioni. Again, maybe motif is better. And again, it's another style improvement, etc. I guess you get the gist now, right? So let's say that here we want to make a serious mistake. Conserva la struttura dei file e di evitare problemi di conversione. Okay, this is a very bad translation. So let's say mantiene la struttura dei file ed evita problemi di conversione. Okay, this is better, but it was really bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this as a translation error. There it is, and then approve. Now I need to go to the next translated segment, etc. And I can continue my job from here. But when I do this, I'm also generating a quality report. And you can notice on the top bar this big button called Quality Report. Let's click on that. This takes you to this interface where you can see the overall quality for the job after the revision. It's considered to be good. And the type of errors that have been marked. So we marked some style issues and the translation error. Now, in terms of translation errors, we have a fail here. The other categories are excellent, but we have a fail. Why is that? Because we only tolerate 0.9 errors for 431 words, and I had one. So, of course, that's a fail. Basically, MateCat calculates the quality based on thresholds that you can see here that are calculated for 1,000 words and then adapted to the actual number of words of your job. So good, what does that mean? If you click on details, you will see the entire scorecard. So from excellent all the way down to fail. And good is, okay, in this case, it's a 70. Good enough. We can do better, but it's good enough already. Okay, so this is the quality report. This is one of the information you can generate while working in MateCat. But let's go back to the revision. From the revision, but also from the translate interface, and I'm going to click on the translate link now to go back to the actual translation. So from all of these pages, what you can also see is the editing log. So let's click on editing log down here. When you click on that, you're taken to this other page that basically reports on all the changes you applied as compared to the suggestion. Be it the suggestion from the machine translation, like in this case, and you can see the changes that I made here, or from the TM, like in this case, and you can see how I changed something. For every segment, you get the post-editing effort and the time it took to edit that segment. Now, at the segment level, this is not very important, but at the job level, you also have a recap of all this information. And the average post-editing effort up here is a very important indicator of the quality of the translation. Because when you get a lot of matches from machine translation and translation memory, you want to make sure that the translator is actually editing the matches. Because we know that when a machine translation is good sometimes, but it also requires a lot of editing. Like from English into Italian, I know that this number should be between 25 and 30%. So if it's 19%, it means that I'm not doing a very good job, let's say. Let's put it that way. So it's a good indicator of how the machine translation is helping, but also what kind of editing the translator is doing. Okay. So a little more intelligence that you can gather from MateCat when working with this interface. You also know how much time you spent on the entire job. So you know if what you've been paid is made indeed sense compared to the time you put into finishing the work. Okay. So I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to show you about the translation editor, the revision interface, and the editing log. Of course, if you have any questions, you can write them in the GoToWebinar interface. But what I wanted to show you now is how you can actually make money with MateCat. So you might have noticed that already, but let's go back to the volume analysis page. So when you create a project in MateCat, you have this volume analysis with the breakdown of the individual jobs. So you remember we created a project with 3 jobs: English into French, English into Italian, English into Spanish, and all that. I mean, I can translate into Italian, okay? So English into Italian, I can do that. Helen is very good at French, so she could actually do English into French. But none of us can translate into Spanish. So what should we do here? Our client requested this translation into the 3 languages. We could either decide to not accept the Spanish translation, or with MateCat, we have an extra option. When you click on Translate, you might notice you have 2 way outs. Open means that you do the translation yourself. So if you speak Spanish, in this case, you can translate this document from English into Spanish. But if you don't speak Spanish, you can request the translation, outsource the translation to translator.net, and then sell it to your client. So in this case, you know that you can outsource this translation for 31 euros and 54 cents. That will be ready by tomorrow night. And then you can sell it to your client for a markup, let's say 50 euros, and get the extra margin all for you. Now, this is basically the outsourcing option in MateCat. It's totally optional, but that's how MateCat is sustainable. So that's how we make money with MateCat. And that's why the tool is free and even open source. So it's out there for everyone to use. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to show you today. So since we have 10 minutes left, maybe I can leave the floor to you and reply your questions that I know have been coming in. And Helen will be nice and will ask all your questions. Okay, Helen, off to you again.
Okay, thank you very much, Alessandro, for the presentation. So yes, we do have time now to answer your questions, which have been coming in during the presentation. If you do have any questions you haven't asked yet, you still have time. So please ask away and we'll try to get through as many as possible now. So let's get started. The first question is from Israel, who asks, when you break up a document into different sections for different translators to work on, so splitting a project, do they also have the ability to download the document, or are they just able to look at their respective segments?
Okay, thank you for the question. This is a good one indeed. And I'm going to show you by going back to that document. So I click on Manage down here on the bottom bar, and I'm taken to the management page, which is basically a list of all the projects that we were working on. From here, I can also go back to the volume analysis where we can split again. Okay, so I'm going to do that again for you. So let's say split into 3, check, confirm, and I get the 3 jobs. Now, if I go into the second job here, I'm taken to the second part of the document. So you can see it down here. Okay, so again, you remember the splitting. Even though I'm just working on the second part, when I click on preview, I'm basically downloading the entire document. So the second part starts here, but when you open the downloaded document, you can see that it's all there, comprendere, correggere, etc. So yeah, the translators working on the individual jobs have access to the entire document and to the translation memory and glossary, all 3 of them. In this case, it's 3. But actually in MateCat, you can split any job into up to 50 people. and they will all have access to the entire document and download the entire translation.
Okay, and another question from Virginia. How can this tool be used by small translation agencies?
Okay, actually, this tool is already used by many translation agencies, both small and very large. How can you use it? Well, you don't need to do anything more than what I showed today. So you go to MateCat.com and you upload the files you want to translate and you start working with that. What is important here is that I would definitely suggest to use the private translation memories. So you remember when you create a project, you click on settings and add private TMs so that your data remains confidential. Okay, is saved only in these private vaults, let's call them. So this is very important, but also remember that when you're using MateCat as a translation agency, you get the advantage of the improved word count. So when you go through the analysis, you get this analysis. You remember, the document contains 571 words. When run through MateCat, you go down to 431. So for a translation agency, but also for a freelance translator, really, this means an increased margins, or to put it that way, in another way, increased profits on any job. You can charge this to your client and work on this, and you know that you are getting more money per word. Okay. For a translation agency, it's also very important to be able to split the jobs, and you've already seen how to do that. And also you have access to a management panel where you have a list of all the jobs that you're working on with their progress bar. You can see it here. So how much has been approved, how much has been translated, and the link to send to the freelancers. So project managers typically send this link to their translators and then follow the translation here in terms of progress, or go actually into the translation editor to talk to the translator by adding comments there, for instance. Okay, so I don't know if this is what you meant, Virginia, with your questions, but if you have any more clarification that you want on how to use MateCat for translation agencies, feel free to post other questions, and we may even get back to you via email on this one.
And another question here from Maxime. How can I get more information about the quality of the translation that will be provided by translated.net if I outsource it? I mean, what kind of translation will it be? Translation plus editing, machine translation plus post-editing?
So you are actually deciding what kind of translation this will be, because you are creating basically the project. So if you create a project with machine translation enabled, of course, it's going to be machine translation plus post editing. But you know that from the machine translation tab, you can even disable machine translation. And in that case, translated.net will not be using machine translation. They will be using the settings that you apply to the project. So when you click on translate here, you get a quotation for the job based on the number of words. And if you click on read more, you know who the translator will be that's going to work on your job. In this case, it's Carlotta. What kind of feedback she got from clients. So 96% positive feedback in this case, the experience and all that. If you're not all that secure, let's say, or satisfied, let's say, with the choice, you may also want to add a revision. And so you can do human translation plus human revision. And then you also know that you have the project management. So when you actually place the order, you will be able to talk to the project manager to provide further information on how to work on your project. So basically, you are totally in charge. You decide whether you want to do full translation or machine translation plus post editing. You decide whether you want to add a revision or not. You know who the translator is, and you know that you also have the option to talk to the project manager if you want to. Yeah, indeed. Even more than that, you can follow the translation in real time and go in and talk to the translator and tell them if they're doing something that you don't like, or even give them kudos if they're doing a great job.
Okay, and Maria Cristina would like to know, what if I've signed an NDA? How secure is MateCat in that case?
Well, of course, it depends a lot on the NDA that you signed. But anyway, as long as you use private transaction memories, you're basically saving all the data in private vaults. And they can only be accessed by knowing the URL of the job. The URL has a specific password in that. Maybe I can show you that one as well. So let me just open a job here. So you can have a look at the URL up here. You see that makecat.com, then it says translate. It means that it's a translation job. Then you have the project name. It's quite long here. And it's basically the name of the file in this case. The language pair, the job ID, and then again, an alphanumeric string. This alphanumeric string guarantees that the job URL is unique so that only the person who has this URL can access that content. Now, if you are creating a project and you keep this URL to yourself and you add private resources, basically you are generating a sort of a private vault where you can save your content. If you want additional guarantees, you can disable the machine translation also, so you don't use external services. It all depends on what your NDA states, but in MateCat, what I can say is that you can make sure that you control how the data is shared. So you know who has access to your document, and you know that you can keep your private transaction memories. I mentioned you know who has access to your document, because in fact, from the management page here, you have this small icon that is the activity log for the project. So when you click on that, you can see who has accessed the analyze page, the translate page, who's downloaded the file, and you know the username, you know the email, you know the IP, when the action happened. So you can actually keep control of a lot of information that you cannot do otherwise. So I would say that MateCat is pretty secure. And if your NDA allows you to use private resources in the cloud, you can use also MateCat. If your NDA prohibits you from using any cloud services, and that includes email, well then MateCat is not a solution for you.
Okay, thank you, Alessandro. And another question here from Jorge. He asks, I've been asked to integrate MateCat to our website for internal use. How can I do that? Can I have all the features of the live version in a private version? What are the restrictions of a private version?
So there are different ways for achieving this. So you can integrate the MateCat version that I'm showing now. So the version that we host and we maintain, and you can still use it in a private way, meaning you can generate private transaction memories and keep all your data separate from the public ones. And the best way to integrate would be to use the API. Now, this is pretty technical, so please don't be scared about what I'm going to show now. But anyway, in the bottom bar, you can click on the API link, and you will see here a list of all the methods that we support to create project, to generate comments, to retrieve the quality report, and all that. If you click on that, it gets even worse for those who are not technical, but I'm sure Jorge will appreciate the fact that we have so many APIs that you can play with and use to integrate in your system. I would say this is the best way to do the integration, because in this way you make sure that we manage the platform and it works. We provide all the updates and all that, and you get the benefits via API and integrate it in your internal workflow management system. We actually have even other tools that you might be interested in, and it's this one, for instance, instantquote.matecat.com. Basically, what this tool is a widget that you can use to provide the MateCat quotation directly in your website. So for instance, see it in action, you click on that, and you get this interface that you can plug into your company's website and offer to your client an easy way to upload file and get quotations in real time. Okay, so it's another option that you have, and if you want more information on that, maybe you can just drop us an email, and I'm going to describe in details how it works. Okay, while the instant quote is generating the quotes, maybe Helen, do you have another question?
Yes, we have more questions here. Patty would like to know. I use a lot of glossaries in my translations. How can I upload my already created glossaries to MateCat?
Okay, yes. So I'm going to leave now the instant quote interface, close it, and let's see glossaries. So first of all, we need to understand the concept of the private resources, okay? So when you click on settings here, you have the resources. Now, the resources are sort of, let's say, containers where you can save translation memories and glossaries, okay? So you have a list of resources here. You can create a new one by clicking on Add a Resource, then Confirm. When you have a new resource, like in this case, it's totally empty, right? So you can import TMX and you can import glossaries. So when you click on Import Glossaries, you have the option to upload a glossary file. Okay, but what are glossaries for MateCat? So glossaries basically are Excel files. Okay, of course, I had to get an error at least. But anyway, I'm going to show you how the glossaries are formed. So import glossary again and click on this how to link. We'll take you to the article that describes what glossaries are for. And basically, they are Excel file, or anyway, spreadsheets. You can create them even with OpenOffice or Google Drive, divided in 3 columns. Okay, column A, as you can see here, has the source text. Column B, the target. And column C is a free text area where you can enter any kind of comment about the term. So like maybe syntax information or grammar, whatever, any kind of information you can put in there. The important thing is the first line, English US, you can see it here, and Italian Italian. So you want to make sure the first line contains the language code, and then source, target, and comment. You create a glossary just like this, and you can import that to MateCat and use it as part of the private resources. Okay, so when you add a private resource to MateCat, just like this one, you know that it contains translation memories and glossaries. Okay, hope I replied. Maybe we have time for one more question, even though we are past the 15 minutes.
Okay, just one more then. Carl would like to know, if I add a private translation key, my translations don't get entered into the public translation memory, but do I still get matches from the public translation?
Okay, yes, you do. So again, click on settings. You can add your private translation memories, just like I'm doing here. You can actually give them names, just to make sure that you know what they're about. Okay, and basically, if you select the update checkbox here for the private translation memories, you are not saving anything into the public one, but you are still using that in lookup mode. You can see that the checkbox here is still flagged. So what it means is that you're getting matches from my memory, but you're not saving anything into my memory. Okay, you can actually not even select this one. If you don't select the update checkbox for your private TMs, then the update for my memory is selected automatically. So it means that your translations will go into the public collaborative TM. But as soon as you click on update here, my memory is disabled. But you still get matches. Maybe another one, Helen?
Just one more question. Okay. Well, this one seems perfect for finishing off with. Marjorie says, great presentation. Will this webinar be available for a while to watch it again?
Yes, this is a good This is a good question to actually finish off today. Yes, so we are making available some of our videos and webinars in our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, or actually easiest, you can click on the webinar link here, where I assume you also registered. And from here, you should have access to the previous webinars. So you can go and see the previous webinar, Or, as I was saying, you can go to YouTube and look for our channel here. I'm going to show you. We have some videos there on how to split job, how to import glossaries, and Ask Me Anything, which was very popular. A video about tags, and probably I'm going to also upload today's webinar there. So yes, it's all there.
Okay, well, I think that is all the time we have today. Thank you so much for all of your great questions. But that is all the time we have. So, what is the next step? It really couldn't be any easier. You can start translating with MateCat right now. You just need to go to www.matecat.com and start translating. Remember, there's no need to register or install anything. You just go to matecat.com, choose your language pair, upload your files, and off you go. So thank you again so much for joining us today. At the start of next week, we'll send you some information via email on MateCat, and we will also make sure that we answer all of the questions that you asked us today, especially the ones we didn't have time to cover during the webinar. So stay tuned for that email. And remember, if you do have any feedback, we would love to hear from you. You can send us an email at support@matecat.com at any time. So if you have any questions or feedback on the tool or how we can improve, please do feel free to write an email to us at support@matecat.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And also, please tell us how we did today. We would love your feedback. So when the webinar closes, you will receive just a very quick survey where you can tell us if you enjoyed the webinar and how we can improve for next time. Okay, so thank you again for taking the time to join us for the webinar today. Please do take a copy of the handout, which is available to download from the GoToWebinar platform, which has some useful links and information on the tool. So please do download a copy. So there's nothing more to say. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Alessandro. And we hope to see you on MateCat very soon.